And I'd like to reiterate the points made by Deputy O'Sullivan in relation to the settlements and Palestine. The activities of the Israelis is absolutely reprehensible. But I suppose the main comments I want to make is in relation to the refugee issue. And I welcome the fact that the last European Council did state that Member States have to increase their relocation pledges according to allocation, and that from December they will seek to have a pledge on a monthly basis. And I would welcome that as something that we could monitor more closely. I was glad to hear that certainly last week anyway, TUSLA had 3 social workers on the ground in France to try and activate the pledge made by this House that we would take 200 unaccompanied minors from the camps dislocated through the routing of the Calais camp and so on. And I think while welcoming that, it's not fully clear really whether sufficient resources are being made available on the ground to the social work teams who are in place in order to facilitate these unaccompanied minors dislocated in France, and indeed the more normal ones, as want of a better word. Just in terms of the resettlement programme itself, I mean, just 520 refugees arrived in Ireland last year, and under the relocation programme just 240 refugees were relocated here from Greece and Italy. Now, to put that in perspective, in the first 2 weeks of this year, 219 refugees died trying to cross the Mediterranean to get into Europe, died because of Europe's deadly border policies, because of the walls being built in Slovenia, the walls that have gone up in Greece, in Bulgaria and in Hungary, to prevent people fleeing conflict and taking safer land routes to arrive in Europe. And I have to say, I find it a bit sickening to listen to the good European Liberals cry bloody murder at Donald Trump's pledge to build a wall between the United States and Mexico, even while over the last 4 years the European Union has encircled itself with walls. Let's not forget it. And I have to say, the newly beefed up European Border and Coast Guard Agency that had its inauguration last October at a checkpoint in the middle of a border fence between Bulgaria and Turkey made of metal and razor wire, where many people have died, is a bit reprehensible as well. And I do think it is worrying, the points made about Turkey at the meeting, the shakiness of that rotten deal in the first place, given the deteriorating situation in Turkey, and meaning that tens of thousands of refugees are now trapped in Greek islands in overcrowded and very, very dangerous conditions. And I'm conscious that I have very little time, but just the last point I'll make, Ceann Comhairle, is the points made at the Council meeting about the swift action that was urged on implementing the EU-NATO joint declaration signed in December. Now, this declaration is a hawkish commitment to a more militarised EU, more investment in arms and military, working hand in glove in NATO, amping up defence spending and so on. And I think that is completely incompatible with our position on neutrality, and we should be standing full square against it.